The towns within the Murweh Shire are prone to flooding events and can be impacted by flooding under certain weather conditions. It is important to know and recognise the indicators, and this program will aid in providing a guide to determining the likelihood of significant flooding. Flooding is one of the key natural disasters to impact the Shire.
At 5:15 this morning, the government declared a state of emergency. Police and SES joined local volunteers to begin the evacuation of 3,500 people from homes and properties in and around Charleville.
The Murweh Shire plays an integral role in emergency management. Natural disasters are inevitable. However, it is important to understand the local risks for your own safety and the protection of your property. Disasters are managed by the local disaster management group, comprising government agencies and the various emergency services organisations, which are responsible for the planning stages of disaster management as well as decision-making during a disaster event. A system of automatic telemetry stations monitor rainfall and river levels, and in conjunction with volunteer observers across key locations, provide a vast network of early indicators of flooding events and impacts. The Bureau of Meteorology will issue updated flood warnings and river heights. They use this information as a guide to the rainfall conditions that are likely to cause flooding in the catchment areas. Minor flooding. 75 millimetres in a 24-hour period over isolated areas, or 50 millimetres over wider areas, will cause minor stream rises and minor flooding. Moderate to major flooding. Rainfall of up to 50 millimetres over a period of 1 to 3 days, followed by further intense falls of up to 50 millimetres that would usually cause minor flooding. 100 millimetres in 24 hours will cause flooding in the immediate area of rainfall. 100 millimetres in 24 hours over a wide area will lead to possible major flooding. Murweh Shire Council has undertaken various flood mitigation measures, including the construction of the levee around the town and the Bradley's Gully diversion. The river levee is designed to offer greater property protection for the residents of Charleville. In the event of major flooding, evacuation may still be required. You do not need to be told to evacuate. You can self-evacuate at any time. The local disaster management group utilises the river gauge at 27 Mile Gardens to estimate what the height of the water will be when it reaches Charleville. The river height in Charleville will be 1.5 metres higher than at the 27 Mile gauge. This water can take 12 to 36 hours to reach Charleville, so it is important to remain alert and monitor broadcasts and the BOM website for updates. With the gauge showing 5.8 metres and 7.3 metres in Charleville, authorities remain confident the levee will provide protection for the town. It is important to remain alert and aware at this point for further rainfall and rises. With the gauge showing 6 metres and 7.5 metres in Charleville, people in low-lying and gully areas should prepare for self-evacuation. With the gauge showing 6.2 metres and 7.7 metres in Charleville, this is the point at which water could top the levee. Evacuate as directed. Low-lying areas will be impacted. The catchment for the Warrego River system is to the north, and heavy falls in the upper catchment can result in river rises downstream, which may cause flooding in Augathella or Charleville, even when little or no falls have been recorded downstream. A warning siren operates for the town. At 6 metres, the approaches to the bridge on the Landsborough Highway will be covered. The Old Tambo Road in Augathella will have water impacting the approaches at 5.8 metres, and residents on the northern side of the river should consider evacuating to Augathella Township. Preparing for a flood. Identify risks to your property, location of rivers, creeks and gullies, and ascertain the flood history of buildings in your area. Prepare a home emergency plan, evacuation strategy, and safe locations to evacuate to. Identify personal items, documents and equipment that will need to be moved to a safer location. Have an emergency kit prepared. Everyone should have a fully stocked emergency kit available in their home. This should be contained in a sturdy carry bag or waterproof box. Battery-powered radio and spare batteries. Torch, candle and waterproof matches. First aid kit and manual. Ensure kit includes disposable gloves, face masks and goggles. Non-perishable food and bottled water. Spare clothes for each family member, including strong shoes, hats and strong gloves. Ziploc plastic bags for storing documents and valuables. Medications, repeat prescriptions and toiletries, and personal hygiene products. Copies of important documents. mobile phones and relevant charges, credit cards, keys and cash. If flooding is predicted, listen to your radio. ABC is the national emergency broadcaster. Heed all warnings and advice. Check on neighbours and friends. Move household items to the highest point. Pile furniture onto beds and personal items onto the furniture. Tie down loose items in your yard. Move garden and pool chemicals to higher points. Gas cylinders should be disconnected and tied down or moved to higher ground. Sandbag if necessary. Also, placing sandbags in toilet bowls and floor wastes can help prevent sewerage ingress into your home. Move vehicles to higher ground early and avoid driving through floodwater. Prevent children from playing in floodwater and around drains or watercourses, as even shallow floodwater can pose dangers. A public warning siren system is also implemented, with sirens placed at several points throughout Charleville and will be audible from most areas of the town. This siren will sound for at least 5 minutes. This is an indication that you must listen to your radio. Check the council website and Queensland Police Facebook page for public warnings or advice. With the river height at 5.8 metres, floodgates will be erected on the Mitchell Highway at the western entrance to town. If you live on the western side of town, it is important that you remain aware of when these gates will be erected to avoid being isolated on the opposite side of the river you need to be. When flooding occurs, monitor flood warnings. Have your emergency kit ready. Avoid entering floodwater on foot or by vehicle. If it's flooded, forget it. If advised to evacuate, follow instructions from emergency authorities. If self-evacuating, notify the local disaster coordination centre and register with the National Registration and Inquiry System with the Red Cross. Be prepared to react to changing conditions and follow instructions. Assist others where possible. The official evacuation facility in Charleville is the racecourse, which has Wi-Fi facilities. The SES has a flood boat that will operate to provide rescue services or transport emergency personnel. When possible, the flood boat will provide transport access across the river if conditions allow. It is important to remember that there are restricted items that cannot be carried, including explosives, firearms and ammunition, flammable liquids, corrosive substances and alcohol. Operation times will be advised by Council and the SES. Rural properties. Many Western Queensland rural residents are well adept at preparing for seasonal periods of isolation. However, it is recommended that rural residents stock up on food, medicines, fuel and supplies that will be required for periods of isolation. Move stock to higher ground and prepare fodder stockpiles. Stay in touch with the local disaster coordination centre to let others know you are okay. This is important as your information on rainfall amounts and river heights can assist in disaster management and potential for evacuation or resupply strategies to be implemented. If resupply is required, please make a request to the LDCC and details of your GPS coordinates. Weight limits for goods may apply and dangerous goods cannot be flown. After the flood, do not return home until advised. Do not eat food that has been in contact with floodwater. Boil tap water until supplies have been deemed safe. Do not use gas, electricity or appliances that have been in contact with water until they have been checked by qualified personnel. Be aware of snakes and spiders that may have relocated to higher ground. Wear solid rubber-soled shoes and sturdy gloves when cleaning up. With all the major towns of the Murweh Shire located within floodplains, it is inevitable that under certain weather conditions, flooding events may occur. With good preparation, a flood action plan and knowledge of where, how and when the water flows, we can be better prepared for flooding and the impacts it may have.